It is Women's Month in South Africa. And it is such a wonderful, not that we need a month, a special month to celebrate, but if they want to give it to us, we'll grab it. And this webinar is around celebrating the beauty of women. So welcome to this session. And the purpose of this session is going to be we as women around this virtual table, empowering women. I think often women kind of fight one another in the workplace. We kind of look at one another and we think that there's a kind of a scarcity mentality that prevails, that there is only one job or only one promotion, and we need to fight our way to the top. I think if we start looking at the workplace as a place of abundance where we could all succeed, we start the process of empowering one another as a women tribe around the table here. So this session very much is about not only Michelle and I empowering you through our experience and the knowledge that we bring today, but it's also about everybody around the virtual table, changing our mindsets about our fellow sisters, our fellow women around the table, and to say, let's take hands and let's empower all the women. So ladies, if I can ask again, if you can just mute your microphone. I see, is it?
Sorry? Is Michelle there? No, she's in the office. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask that we just follow the following code of conduct around this session? Can everybody just mute their microphones, please, so we can just block out the background noise? I think, is it Mpo? Mpo, I don't see that your microphone is off. So if you guys can just mute your microphones. And then ladies, enjoy the session. Welcome to the session. I would like to start off maybe by introducing myself properly. I am Liza Gresse, and I often make this joke. I say, I'm actually 25, but because I have started a business 17, 18 years ago and had to run this business and build a business, I look 58. So I am the CEO of the Ubuhle group. We are a national organization that works with people and people behavior within organizations per se. We also have a training and development company that focuses on the empowerment of people within organizations and upskilling and so forth. So that is my business. And then obviously my experience field, I've been working with people and in my career, building my career for the past 30 to 35 years. And I do a lot of work in the outside of South Africa as well, in the UAE, Kuwait, and also with an European audience. So that is my background. And then if I can introduce Michelle Kruger. Michelle is my co-host and she will be the co-speaker as well. Michelle has been in the law. She's an attorney of law, and she has been in her own practice. She's the CEO of Kruger Attorneys. They are based in Umhlanga, and she has got women's rights, the law per se, and she has the same passion that I have for empowering people or women per se with knowledge to really live an informed life, to take responsibility and to make informed decisions with the knowledge that we bring. So, ladies and gents, I will hand over to Michelle after the introductions, and Michelle will take you through her session, empowering you with knowledge around contracts. We encounter so many of contracts daily in the workplace, but also in our marriage. And that is what she will be talking about. And then what I would like to share with you later is to really just talk around how do we as women bring ourselves into the workplace? And how do we, just a few tips on what I've learned along the way that could contribute to your success. So besides the fact that Michelle and I are experienced and knowledgeable, and that's what we bring, we have something in common with you. And that is that we are also women. We are mothers, and we are just human beings. So, ladies and gents, from my side, please enjoy the following message from empowered women that I would like to share with you before I hand over to Michelle. And over to another Michelle. Michelle Obama once said, "No country can ever truly flourish if it stifles the potential of its women and deprives itself of the contribution of half of its citizens." And I would like to share this message from the women in my company with you.
I feel as though it is important to empower women because whatever you plow into a woman is multiplied. Whatever seed is planted into a woman translates economically, socially, and benefits the community at large. Therefore, when you empower women, you empower a nation.
By empowering other women, we can effect change and transformation. It is our responsibility as women to empower, elevate, and strengthen other women to reach their full potential and to ensure that their voices are heard. Success is never reached by standing alone. However, when women stand together, support each other, and celebrate each other, great things are bound to happen.
Now the times have changed. Women take up the same responsibilities as men and do a wonderful job in showcasing their talents when given an opportunity.
There's a saying that goes, if you empower and educate a woman, you empower and educate a nation. Women are traditionally the caretakers across the world of their children. And if we have empowered women, we set examples for our daughters on how to act with self-confidence, how to create opportunity and be empowered. We also teach our sons to how women should be treated and not to fear the power of women, but to respect it.
Success to every woman should be an inspiration to another. We are strongest when we support each other.
We can empower women by teaching them and celebrating their success, by encouraging them to step up and by making sure that our voice are heard.
Going through the ages, women have fought and worked alongside men, in battlefields and on the farms, and in the office with no recognition. They say that behind every successful man there is a woman, and they are right. Today we have been given a lot of opportunities to voice our minds and show our capabilities. Gone are the days of being downtrodden into obscurity. We are here to stay, and we are proving that we are a force to be reckoned with.
It is necessary that women are given a chance to compete on the same level as men, only to be able to benefit the employment and job spheres of our country. It is necessary that women are placed in leadership positions and given the authority to make decisions.
The fight for gender-based violence in our country is another reason why it is crucial to empower women. Women must obtain financial freedom to achieve independence. Inambogodo.
I would like to just share this little thought with you. No one is coming to save you. And this is where I want to hand over to Michelle, because if no one's coming to save us, we need to save ourselves. And keep in mind when we listen to Michelle and her message, that your life is 100% your responsibility. So Michelle, I'm going to just stop my video sharing while you introduce yourself and put yourself, your slide share up. Ladies and gents, I've got Michelle Kruger from Kruger Attorneys, 20 years of experience in law. Michelle, over to you while you share your PowerPoint. You just muted, Michelle. Still muted. Just unmute yourself. So Michelle, I see that there's a bit of technical problems there. If you just unmute yourself, because we can't hear. There we go. Unmuted. Unlike a lawyer, typical lawyer, you're talking, we can't hear you.
My apologies. I seem to have been muted by the system, but I think we're up and ready to go, Lisa. Thanks for your patience, ladies.
So,
yes, Lisa, thanks. Are you ready that I can get going?
Yes, you can share your, are you putting up your PowerPoint, Michelle, or are you just going to talk?
Lisa, from my side, it is up. Are you not able to see it?
Carol, can you indicate whether you can see it, because I can't see it from my side?
No, I'm not seeing it.
So, sorry, ladies, if you can just go into your share screen, Michelle.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me just see if we can do this.
In the meantime, while Michelle, if you just go down to share screen. Michelle's not so used to working on Zoom, so share screen, and then just go into your window that you've opened on your PowerPoint.
Carol or someone from your tech may be able to help me, because I am on my PowerPoint screen. Zoom's not allowing me the option to share.
Shivani, can you give sharing options to Michelle, please?
Yes, Lisa. Okay.
Have you got sharing options now, Michelle?
Doesn't seem to be giving it to me, Lisa. I'm going to have to, let me see if I can exit that. I'm going to have to, can you hear me still?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Okay. So Michelle, in the meantime, I think whilst you are just looking to set up, ladies and ladies around the table, I would like to just remind you that you can post any of the questions while Michelle is just trying to get her slide up. You can post any questions in your comments box. Shivani, can you just see if you can give Michelle sharing options now?
Won't it be worth making a co-host? Maybe that's why she can't share, because I see, is it not to do with the hosting options?
Shivani?
Hi, Lisa. So it was the same as when we did the test run. Everything is still the same.
Okay, so apologies for that. It seems like, Michelle, have you found your screen? Can you see if you can share, please?
Lisa, I haven't. I still seem to be, wait, I may now, let me see. I may have now, yes, wait, I think I have actually found it now.
Okay.
It seems as though it's going to allow me to enter now. I need to just find the right option. It seems to have kicked off my PowerPoint, but I'm going to find it. If you give me a second.
Right, apologies for that. We are in a virtual space, ladies and gents. We did a dry run before and it worked perfectly well, but I'm sure we'll get it up and going. So, yeah. Sanette, good to see you again. There we've got the, you're sharing your email over there. Sanette, maybe you would also just from your side like to do a welcoming to all the ladies from SPAR that's joined us.
I actually have, where's my boss? Julie, can I put you on the spot? So we've got Dr. Ubuhle on the line with us today. Maybe, Julie, can I put you on the spot? Do you want to say something? She's going to kill me. Yeah, it's just like, yeah. Where's Julie? Just thanks, Liza, for the time, for making time and always looking after SPAR and sharing your message. I know that women empowerment is something that is very near and dear to your heart. So yeah, just thanks for sharing some of that with us. Is it not worth making Michelle host? Will that not help?
Michelle, can you just give me an indication whether you have found your PowerPoint or not? Okay, Sanette, she is busy. I think her PowerPoint's just gone missing, but let's work around that. Julie, welcome. It's lovely to see you again. Maybe I would like to also say, yes, thank you, Sanette. I am extremely passionate about empowering women across the world, actually, and I think Julie and I share that passion. So Julie, while we have Michelle putting up her
she just had to kind of take a meeting, but she was on for the beginning. So
yes,
she said she'll come in and out.
Sure. Julie, I'm going to hand over you to do a welcoming to all the ladies of SPAR.
She's just popped out quickly. She had to take a call. She said she'll come in and out the call as she needs to.
Okay, great stuff. Okay, so Michelle, are we winning with your PowerPoint? Otherwise, what I suggest we do is let me take over the first session and then you can take over the last session. How about that?
Lisa, I think that's a great idea. I do apologize. You know what the technical aspects are like. We had it all down to a T, and I now seem to not be able to access my desktop. So please, if you don't mind, I don't mean
not at all. So ladies, thank you very much. Michelle, we will get back to you after my session. So we'll just take over. I'll take over from this beautiful lady, and I didn't put a photo of myself up because, ladies, this beautiful photo is without wrinkles, but yeah, I am me with all my wrinkles, but all my experience. Sanette, you wanted to say something again.
Julie had some technical issues. She's back on. If you want to just quickly get Julie to say hello to us.
Yes, I would love to hear from Julie. Julie, we seem to have gremlins. You know, August it's Women's Month, and we have our own challenges around that. But over to you. Please welcome all the wonderful ladies around the table.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you very much. Hi, Sanette. Afternoon, SPAR colleagues. It's so good to see you all. And thank you, Sanette, for organizing this time for us. I was just sending Sanette a message before the start of this session to say thank you for doing what you did, because as women, we're not good at taking time to go and play golf. We're not good at taking time to go on that hunting trip. So we are forever in the office, working very hard. So Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's highly appreciated. To my SPAR colleagues, I do hope that you're going to find value in this session, and also just some downtime, just to say this is my me time. So I do hope that the month of August reminds us how important we are, how great we are as employees, and how great we are as members of society. So in case no one has ever reminded you of that, I just want to say to all of you, you are amazing. You make SPAR the great company that it is. You are beautiful. You are everything that society needs. So to all of you, enjoy the session. Thanks to the ladies that are taking care of us today. We really feel like the VIPs. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And guys, thank you. I've just read in the comments box from an IT specialist. So Michelle, stop stressing. You've done this without a PowerPoint before. And thank you for that message in the comments box that sometimes IT is just challenging. So thank you for that message, Julie. I think it's wonderful. And there's so much of truth in it. You know, we as women don't take enough time to think about our lives because we are always taking time out to look after other people. So from my side, sit back, take a deep breath, and I am just going to share some knowledge and some experiences that I've encountered around progressing through my career. And I say career, but I also would like to, because I can't always divorce my career from my personal life, you know, because I am a whole person. And I'm going to share some tips that I've encountered along the way. And I'd like to chat with you around some things. And to start off, the first thing that I thought of when we put this webinar together was, what will I say? And then I thought, you know, if I could talk to my younger self, what would I want to say to myself as a younger woman? And that would be my departure point, that I'm going to share some of the knowledge, putting myself in my young shoes again and saying to the younger self. And the first thing that I would like to say to everyone, every single woman around this table, let's start off by thinking, who am I? Start thinking and talking about to yourself, about your brand. What do I stand for? What is my brand? And in order to understand that, we need to start thinking of ourselves as, this is me. This is my entity. My company name around this table is Sanet Meyer, or Liza Gresse, or Julie, or Michelle. This is my entity. And we bring so much of knowledge to the table, but what knowledge am I bringing? What skills am I bringing? What do I want to be known for? And this should be the departure point of starting to spend time with yourself, unpacking what you and how you want to bring yourself into the business. So I often compare that to when I started off my business. The first thing we had to decide was, what is the business name? What is this name? If my clients, my customers hear this name, what kind of feeling does it evoke? And if they see the brand, what do they recognize that it stands for? And that is important. And it's the same with you. When you bring yourself into the SPAR Group, into your career, what if they hear your name, if they see your name, what does your brand stand for? So let's unpack that a little bit. I thought I'd share this with you. You know, on the table in front of you, you can see I've got some shapes of soft drinks. At the moment, they don't differ very much. They are just bottles on a shelf, right? And we know that it's something that we can drink that will quench our thirst. But yeah, how am I going to choose whether I choose the left-hand side, the middle, or the right-hand side bottle? Because they are fair game. They are all the same until I put a brand to it. And then they start representing something. So if you look at Coca-Cola, it represents happiness, right? Pepsi, youthfulness. Fanta could be fun. Stony means power. And in the same way that these brands evoke certain emotions, this should be you thinking about, what do you bring into the workplace? What are you going to be known for? What are you going to stand for? So unpack your brand. Let me put this forward. What we are faced with now on the screen is just tackies. In South Africa, we call it tackies. In other countries, we call it sneakers. But this is just sneakers, right? They all have the same shape. They all do have the same function. How do we define which brands do we like? Which of these sneakers would you go for? Difficult, because they are all the same. So when you, as a woman, bring yourself into the workplace, have you given your brand thought? Have you thought about what you stand for, what you want to be known for? So if I put a brand to these tackies, the first tacky is a Nike, and the purpose statement or the brand statement is just do it, because that tacky, that brand stands for innovation and inspiration. Adidas, on the other hand, is impossible is nothing. That stands for relentlessness or resilience. Puma, forever faster. It stands for agility, right? And then the New Balance tackies stands for independence, and it says freshly independent. Again, give thought. I want to invite you as women around the table, start thinking about yourself, you personally as a business, a brand that you are, and you can rebrand anytime. I mean, age is only a number, right? But what brand do you want? What do you want to be known for? And how are you going to bring yourself into the workplace? So some tips around that. Why is it so important? Because if you want to progress in your career, you need to stand out. And how will you make yourself stand out? You make yourself stand out by first and foremost embracing your uniqueness. As Julie mentioned in the beginning, make time for yourself. Make time to think about who you are. What is the characteristics that is your strengths that make you a unique human? And write it down so that you can develop your own unique feature or purpose statement that will make you, define you differently from other women. Are you a just do it, trustworthy approach? But make the time to think about yourself, where you see yourself in 5 or 10 years, where you want to progress to, and then brand yourself accordingly. So ladies and gents, some tips around branding yourself. And again, remember, I'm just bringing you what I have learned along the way and what I would share with the younger self if I could have my life over again. The first thing that I would say, if you want to end it well, then start thinking authenticity. Don't try and fit into the shoes of your colleague or try and fit into the shape of another woman. Don't wish to be as well-spoken as your neighbor or as quick with a joke as somebody in your office. I would rather like to encourage you to be authentic around you. Do the work around getting to know you. When we develop leaders, and this is something that I'll share with you, when we develop leaders across sectors, in different corporations, wherever we go, the first thing that we start off is getting that person to really know themselves, because there is no ways that you can lead a team or a department or a corporation if you are unsure of who you really are. So authenticity is very much embedded in knowing what your values are. So what do you stand for? What are you willing to sacrifice, and what will you most definitely not sacrifice? That is the anchor of your being. So know your values. Know that certain values are more important to you than others. For me personally, respect is a huge value. And by this age, I now know that if people violate the value of respect, if I observe that, whether I work in an organization or whether I'm in civil society, and I observe the disrespect of environment, people, others' rights and so on, I get hugely upset because I'm embedded in that value. So know who you are, know what your values are, and give it thought. You know, the values are the things that anchors you and gives you direction in life. And identify 2 or 3 values that you stand for, and then align your purpose, your mission statement, your value statement with that, so that becomes that is what you stand for, your brand value statement. And that is how you show up authentically as well. Because every time that you feel uncertain, you can refer back to this value statement and ground yourself again in who you are and what you stand for. So ladies and gents, the second tip that I want to give you is stop waiting for the prince on the white horse to save you. This is not going to happen. You have been given this fantastic gift of life. This is your life. Don't wait for your husband to make something happen for you, or your life partner, or your parents, or your manager, or your friends, or your church. This is your life. It's been given to you with this beauty. So many boxes that you can unwrap with all your talents and your gifts and your skills that you've developed so far. It is your life. This is you. Uniquely you. Take responsibility for that. Take responsibility for your career. Stop blaming. You know, that I couldn't achieve because I had children. We have the wonderful ability of bringing children into the world. Yes, it makes it a little bit harder. Yes, it's challenging at times. Yes, but if you want to progress, take responsibility. Take accountability for yourself. So a few tips around that. Embrace every opportunity that you can get. If there's an opportunity and the door is just slightly open, don't wait for the door to open, kick it open. I always say this to my daughter. I say this to every young girl that I encounter. If the door slightly opens, don't wait, kick it open. Create your opportunity. Put your hand up around a table. Volunteer, even if you don't get paid for it. Add to your skill set. Don't think that the degree that you got 40 years ago at university will still serve the market. That will not contribute to you progressing. upskill, professional career development, continuous professional development. See where you can embark on certain courses and upskilling of your skill set. Because remember, you are a business. You are your own business. And if you want to plow back into your business, you need to invest time. You need sometimes to invest some of your own money into your upskilling. And you need to invest in your behavioral competencies. How can I model myself so that I can be more successful in my career? Find a mentor, find a coach, find somebody that you have enormous respect for in the way that they manage themselves. It could be another woman or another man, and ask them to guide you. We all in our careers have had guides. And up to this day, I still have a guide. I still have mentors that I go to and ask for advice, because that makes me stronger. Do what you need to do to succeed, but take accountability for yourself. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I often do this. When I get to crossroads and I've got to make difficult decisions, I always remind myself, okay, so I want to build a legacy. What legacy do I want to build? I want to build a legacy of respect. I want people to respect my knowledge. I want people to respect my professionality. I want my children to remember me as an empowered woman that always set an empowered example to them. That is my legacy. So think of what legacy you want to leave. And there's a powerful exercise that I often encourage people to do. And that is to think, what will people say of you once you are gone? What will they say when they stand next to your grave or at your memorial? And what will they say about you? Because that will give you some food for thought to work with in building your statement, your value statement, your purpose statement. So if you think about the memories that you leave behind, what do you want to leave behind? And often it's not only in your personal life, but it's also in the company that you serve. In the SPAR Group, you know, it's impossible. We can't go to work and be happy every day. We are going to, in a span of 5 to 10 years, even 3 years, there's going to be times that we are going to be disgruntled. We are going to fight with some colleagues. There is going to be politics. That is what happens when we are engaging in interpersonal relationships with other human beings. We are going to be less motivated sometimes. But how do you manage yourself in this organization? What legacy do you want to leave if you move to another company? What do you want your colleagues and your managers, your bosses, your reports to say about you when you leave? And work with that. Build your legacy and be remembered as somebody that contributed rather than had a toxic influence and were destructive. And in order to become that, to leave that legacy, I often say, you know, make sure that you are widely trusted. Now, trust is it's quite an intricate thing, trust, because trust is not something that I can just take. I can't just say, because I'm your boss, you have to trust me. Because I am a woman, you need to trust me. Because I'm in this position, you need to trust me. No, trust is earned. And you can only earn trust that you are trusted. So if you want to be successful in your environment of business, first and foremost, make sure that you can be trusted with your knowledge. Make sure that you know what you're talking about in your area of expertise. Make sure that you upskill. Make sure that when you say you will do something, that you will actually do it. Make sure that you are somebody that respects other people's time, their resources, and some things that I would like, tips that I'd like to share with you. You know how people will eventually allow you to engage with them and for them then to hand over their trust to you, is when they see that you are trustworthy, when you deliver on what you say you will. If you tell me that you will have your report ready by tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock and you default, yeah, sometimes I can oversee, but if that becomes the norm, then you are to blame for eroding my trust. If you can't meet a commitment, I always say, whether it's a deadline, a work commitment, or whether it's even your financial commitments, don't shy away, don't try and hide. Rather, have the courage to admit it. Engage with the person and just make an arrangement. Keep confidences, and this is something that we need to understand. I've learned this, that people, women, we all like to skin it a bit, right? We like to go and say, oh, so-and-so, did you hear this and this? Because it gives us a feeling of power. Oh, you're giving me attention, right? If I tell you this, I have the attention on me. Try and shy away from that behavior in the workplace. Show that people can entrust their stories to you. And if you are going to share those stories, ensure and make sure that you have they've given you their go-ahead to share. Ask their permission to share their stories. Don't just go and share because you think, oh, this gives me the power or the feeling of power. In the end, that is just short-lived, because people will start disrespecting you, because that is what you will stand for, somebody that's not trusted. You can't trust her. Watch out, don't say anything in front of her. And we as women should avoid gossip. You know, especially the tribe around this table. We are empowering women here. Let's empower each other by giving each other trust, by making sure that we don't repeat trusted confidential information unless I have been given permission. And let's not talk about how bad this one is, or how badly dressed this one is, or, oh, did you see her hair again, or whatever. Let's also conduct ourselves with confidence, but also with self-trust, that we will trust ourselves not to sell our women out around the table. So yeah, become trusted. And then, ladies, one thing that I would like to share with you, what I've learned along the way. If you've got all these things that I've given you thus far in place, you are building your brand because you are your own business. You show up authentically. You show that you are to be trusted. It's amazing how you start building your network. But I also want to encourage you to start putting effort and energy into building your network. And when I talk about network, I'm talking about when we are in the workplace, your immediate team is your first point of contact as a network. But you also need to build your brand. They know you. They know what you stand for. But you've got to take your brand outside of that department or that team. You've got to start engaging with other colleagues in different departments. You've got to get yourself known out there. You've got to say, how can I assist? And sometimes you've got to do things for free. Sometimes if it's not in your job description, then volunteer still to support and to help. Cross-function sometimes. invite some of your colleagues from other departments over, or when you're in the maybe in the staff environment or engaging in a social interaction, don't just stick to your little group of your little clique. Open yourself up. You know, when we work in different countries, this is the most beautiful magic happens, because we are not only South Africans, we work with a whole crowd of expats and international people. People are reaching out to one another, and you build the most amazing relationships that benefit you so much, even if you return to South Africa afterwards. Because people are breaking down the walls and saying, we are all in this together. We are all expats. Let's see how we can support each other. So let's have that in the SPAR Group. Can you imagine what a wonderful women tribe we would be in the SPAR Group if we can all reach out beyond our cliques, beyond our teams, beyond our departments. And then a few tips that I want to give you. If you want to progress in your career, always look at every social interaction as a opportunity to meet new people. Open yourself up. Even if you are not extroverted, you need to take yourself to extroversion gym. All the introverts around the table. Take yourself to extroversion gym. Go and strengthen your own network building by reaching out, even if it's not your natural preference. Meet and greet, engage in a conversation beyond your cliques and your little safe group that you usually move in. Remember, strong relationships, especially in the environment that we are doing business in today. Strong relationships is the key to success for your career. It is your support system. If they have to nominate somebody to go into a position, they know about your brand and what you stand for, you have a much bigger chance than you just sticking to the people that you know. If you want to be part of the progression or the being promoted, you have to put yourself out there. Remember that I read something the other day that success and greatness has never, ever been built in convenience. How about that? So it's always got in a small little group, but that's not where you are going to build your greatness. Make sure that when you meet people, new people, go out, stand up straight, and practice makes perfect, by the way. For some, it comes naturally. For some, we've built this over the years, but for you, it can be taught. Trust me, I work with this every day with people. You can teach yourself every day to be stronger around interacting with people. So when you meet people, first and foremost, stand up straight, make eye contact, smile. Well, we can't greet with our hands anymore, but we can be open to other people. And then you make sure that you get the name of the other person. There's so much of value in the name of another human being, because that shows that you have taken interest in them. And also, a tip that I can give you, be genuinely interested. If you are interested in somebody, it's the most amazing magic happens. You start listening to them and they pick up on that you're sincerely listening and authentically showing up for them. And when you ask questions, they will engage with you in a more sincere manner. And then they remember you. The next time they will be the ones approaching you. This is how you build networks. And remember also, ladies, business lunches. Men are so good at this. Business lunches are not really there to eat. It's there to engage in business talk. It's there to network. Those are the places. So make sure that when you order something, that it's something small and easy to eat in between the talk, and just polish your table manners a bit. You know, I don't have to say it around this table, but I'm giving you a few tips. Open up network opportunities. Start engaging with people that you know that can not only benefit your career, but can contribute to your skill set by listening to what they have to say. So yeah, build your networks. And then whilst building, I know we are all working remotely. We have a hybrid approach to work at the moment. But trust me when I say, don't stop dressing for success. Just because you have not got your camera on, at any point, if somebody asks you to switch on your camera, be ready. You know, just do the lipstick. We are women. Let's celebrate that. You know that there's a saying that first and foremost, people, if they don't know you, they will sum you up in 3 seconds in the first meeting. And secondly, they judge you. They judge you on what you wear, right? So ladies, I encourage you, celebrate your womanness. I love dressing up. I love celebrating my woman beauty by enhancing it with professional clothes or a little scarf or a little lipstick, and make, if I can really help, you can have get your own style, you know, something that you feel comfortable in. And then also look after your hair, spend money on yourself. You know, we started off by saying that we as women don't spend enough time on ourselves. We don't take time out, or maybe a little bit of the budget over a period of months to do our nails or whatever. You deserve it. And it contributes to your packaging of your brand. Think about that. I have often when I do a face-to-face talk with women, I often say, if I have to give you the option between a beautiful packaged bottle of perfume and just an ordinary jar of perfume, which one would you choose? Obviously, the sexy lines of this packaging will contribute to the sale of that perfume, if it's exactly the same perfume. So ladies and gents, I mean, not gents, ladies, look after yourself. Celebrate your womanness. Package yourself beautifully so that when you put yourself into the workplace, that you come professional and well-looked, well-groomed. And then a very important thing, the great success stories in a business, in a career, is usually the people that can communicate well. So practice your communication skills. You know, learn to write well, learn to talk well, learn to present in front of a crowd. Because the higher up you go in an organization, the more of these things you will have to engage in. Practice makes perfect, and success breeds success. So I would like to encourage you to work on your communication skills. And there's certain things that you can start off with, small things without paying money. Stand in front of the mirror and look and just have a conversation with yourself. And then look how you pronounce words. Are you opening your mouth? Because a lot of times people talk like this, and then the message doesn't come out. Just by looking at your pronunciation, moving your lips, and by the way, they are not only there for, they are there for great kissing, but they are there to pronounce and talk clearly. Make sure, even if English is not your first language, and most of us around this table might not have English as a first language, remember this: English is the business language. Wherever you'll go in the world, we will converse in English. Make sure that you hone your English communication skills. Make sure that you speak loud enough and clear enough. That is part of how you package your brand. And then, ladies and gents, no, not gents again. I don't know. This is just a normal thing. Ladies, beautiful ladies around the table. I am passionate about the final tip that I want to give you, because I have learned that you don't get born with resilience. You know, a lot of times when I work with women, they'll forget that life is not about tomorrow only or today. It is a journey. It's a long, long journey, and things will happen with you. Things will happen to you. You will encounter, and trust me, I'm an example of that. You don't get to live my age without not encountering huge disappointments in life. Whether it is a position that you've applied for, and you know that you are ready, and you know you've done all the work to get that position, but you don't get chosen. That disappointment can actually paralyze you. And it's okay, because you're only human. Yes, be paralyzed for a while, but don't let it poison you. You are in control of your own life. See that experience, that negative or that disappointment, as part of building your resilience muscle. You know, there's always, in hindsight, is a wonderful thing, but you don't realize it until further down the line, that if you look back, there's always a reason why you didn't get that position. And if you still feel that you can't progress, then get help. Get support in building your resilience. You will, in your life, encounter huge hurts in your personal life and in your career. Embrace it. Don't try and fight it. Try and dance with whatever comes your way. Take time out to feel disappointed, to feel hurt, but don't get stuck in it. Take control of how you respond to it and build your resilience. The strongest and most successful people have never, ever moved through comfort zones or have built that in comfort zones. They've built their successes in the most difficult times. So try and remember Maya Angelou's words. And she happens to be one of my icons. And I often refer back to these words from her poem, Still I Rise. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like air, I'll rise. And that's what you have. You are women. We have unbelievable strength if we are willing and courageous enough to dive deep enough for that. So in conclusion, fellow women around the table, I would like to encourage you to soar like Amelia, to rescue like Harriet, to rise like Rosa, to stand up like Malala, to heal like Florence and to conserve like Jane, to embark like Ruby and descend like Ruth, rise like Maya, create like Frida, because life is also about beauty and fun, speak like Kamala, and explore like Sakakahui. Ladies around the table, that is all from me. And again, thank you for allowing me to talk with you. And remember, first and foremost, I don't want you to go away from this and think, you make me feel like a failure. Not at all. I am a human being that works hard every day, that has huge disappointments just like you. I'm a woman just like you. I've raised 2 beautiful adult children. I know what it is to go through extremely challenging times, time-wise, resources, working and being a mother. Don't give up. Don't give up. So I'm going to hand over. I'm going to stop sharing now, and we will take all the questions and everything else afterwards. I'm going to hand over and see whether my fellow speaker has now, and fellow woman around the table, Michelle, are you ready to actually put up your slideshow? Otherwise, you're just going to chat like you did the other day without your slideshow, right?
Well, I hope, thank you very much, Lisa. I hope for everyone's sake that the presentation will play so that they don't have to look at me all the time. Is it up on the screen now?
No, it's not. Not yet. Yeah.
Okay.
May I suggest that you just take over from me and that you just talk like you do, and you've got your screen to guide you, because you actually are very good at talking without your screen. So I'm just going to say again, ladies, I'm handing over to Michelle. She's going to empower you through her experiences, but especially giving you some knowledge through law and around contracts. Michelle, you are on the screen, and there we go.
Am I there? Okay. Well, now can you see still not seeing my slideshow, can you?
Yes, we can.
Oh, how brilliance. Thank you very much, Lisa. Thanks so much for jumping in and doing your bit before I did. I'm sure that all the ladies are so psyched up after Lisa's talk, and how wonderful to be part. I'm privileged to be here and to be part of this exciting initiative hosted by Ubuhle, creating a platform for us to empower women. Well done, Ubuhle and Lisa, and thanks for having me, all the ladies from SPAR. The question really is, and after listening to this empowerment of women and what we can do for ourselves and for other people, I want to also, before I move on, say thank you to the lady with a kind comment about the technology when we started, because this is how we empower each other. I've never feared talking, you'll note when we get going, but the technology is definitely the challenge. So I'm going to empower myself by getting that sorted, and I trust you'll take the challenge on every other issue. So how do I empower you? Now, I do believe that knowledge is power, and I've also learned, though, that if you don't know how to apply that knowledge, that you render that knowledge worthless. So I intend leaving you today with at least some valuable information to assist you in asserting your rights. How do you empower other women? It's quite simple. You're going to pay it forward. And by simply sharing what you have learned today with everyone that you meet. Now, Lisa said, I listened to her talk, and there was so much that I took from it. And I definitely intend using that information. And I trust that you will take every opportunity to share both what she said and possibly what you learn from this going forward to the people and the women in your lives. Now, I wish to talk to you ladies today about legal contracts in your personal life and in your place of employment or your own business if you're self-employed. And I'm not going to share information that's of a technical nature today. And the purpose of what I'm sharing will be to alert you to the fact that you do have rights and that you owe it to yourself to act upon those rights. You know, I've often in life had conversations with ladies and business people even, and they say to me, you know, we don't frequently contract. Now, ladies, if you would give me an opportunity to take a walk in your wonderland, and if it looks anything like my life. You wake up in the morning with your cell phone alarm going off. Yes, the cell phone that you have on contract from your cell phone service provider in a house that you've bought by way of a contract or that you lease by way of a lease agreement. You head to your vehicle, which you purchase by way of a contract or you have on hire purchase agreement. You then head to the gym where you have a gym membership for a quick session. You end up at work and then face your employer with whom you have an employment relationship. If you own your own business, then you enter a building that you've bought yourself or that you lease again. And once you've entered your place of work, you and or your employer will be overwhelmed with an array of commercial contracts, everything from contracts with business partners, co-directors, staff, suppliers, service providers, clients, etc., etc., etc. Now, let's just take a breath there. Let's recap. Do you still insist that you're not involved in legal contracts frequently? Now, point one is really for you to acknowledge that you're contracting. Now, if that sounds really strange, I need to tell you a story. I found that at the age of 18, I signed my first contract, which was a gym membership. I had signed authorizing this gym franchise to deduct an entire year's worth of membership from my salary in one go. And in fact, the bank allowed an unauthorized facility on my account and the whole amount, boom, one go, gone. Well, you can imagine the devastation for me. I was in tears. I phoned my father, who's a doctor, and he was furious. He said to me, how can you contract without having an attorney look at your contract? How can you sign something without having an attorney look at your contract? And I thought, you know, this is totally ridiculous. At that stage, I had no intention of becoming a lawyer. And I thought, you know, I'm simply completing forms. I'm not contracting. So be aware and know that you're contracting. Now we are often online with contracts and you are freely clicking from one screen to the next. There are sites and sites of fine print, but often people approach me and say, I thought I was obtaining a quote online, only to find that I had contracted and that I had authorized a transaction through my banking account. So you need to be aware and alert of the fact that, yes, you are now contracting. And if you're unsure, then take a step away and make sure you know what your interaction is. Now, you may ask me how to approach contracts then. And before we move on to that, let's just deal with the elephant in the room. Do you or Google, or you and Google, draft your legal contracts? Now, I'm going to answer as politely as I'm able to by just simply saying, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Ladies, I spent 4 years studying for my legal degree. I had contract law as a major subject. I have practiced for 21 years and I have drafted zillions of contracts, and I still find several contracts hugely challenging. You know, you need to really answer that for yourself then, you know. I have clients say to me, phone me up and say, I want you to have a brief look at a contract. I had an engineer do that the other day, and 8 hours later, I had properly perused his contract, which was in excess of 80 pages. Now, you read a book in 80 pages and then try and deal with important content, and that's the intensity. But from the client's point of view, it was simply just throw an eye over it, just have a quick glance. Now, you know, you need to know that your business and your life is worth more than that. You are going to spend money, you interact with people on very serious topics, life issues, and you want to make sure that you are doing things right. What I like to call is, and I'm going to go back one slide. No, that's fine. We can deal with that. What I want to say to you is that just briefly, let's look at building a relationship with a legal expert. Get someone that you trust, that you can talk to, and rely on that expert legal advice. You know, you don't need to save it for a rainy day. And I want to encourage you not to do that. You've got to start embracing expert advice in your life, in everything you do. You're eventually going to deal with someone who knows your personal life, who knows your business life, and who understands the dynamics of what you're going through. Invaluable advice, and don't leave it for a rainy day. What I like to call some freaky facts about contracts, just to make it interesting, and I think a lot of people throughout their lifetime just do this and don't even think about it twice. I don't know whether you all know that contracts don't have to be in writing for them to be legally binding. I have people say to me, more often than I can recall, I have someone living in my house or in my flat. They're paying X amount per month, but I don't have a lease agreement with them. Yes, you most definitely do. And the only contract which by law needs to be reduced to writing is the sale of land. So when you sell immovable property, in terms of the Alienation of Land Act, Section 1 thereof, says it has to be reduced to writing, signed by both parties for it to be binding. Any other contract that you do can be a verbal agreement, and it will be binding, and people can hold you responsible in terms of a verbal contract. Now, you may say to me, so why go through all the schlep and the costs and the effort of contracting if it's not a requirement? Now, it is simply to affirm your rights, to have the terms and conditions that you've agreed upon reduced to writing, and it avoids a he says, she says scenario with people. So you will, from the contract, understand what your rights and obligations are, and the value of a contract often starts with the drafting of it. I say to people, you come round a table, and lately a virtual platform, to discuss the terms in order to instruct your attorney. Now, people will come to me and say, we've contracted on this business to be sold for X million of rand, and I start asking them questions in order to draft the agreement. And I'll ask them something and they go, oh, well, for instance, what happens if one of the parties passes away amidst the transaction? They go, we never discussed that. And it forces you to face issues that you would not normally think of, which to you may not seem material at the time of transacting, which may make a huge difference going forward. And I find that the issues in contracts, 90% of the time, arise because people don't understand what they have contracted, or they have assumed something that is not the truth. If parties understand each other and understand their obligations and understand their rights, you will eliminate the 90% of possibility that contract is going to become contentious. So there's huge value in it. Then let's talk about signing in black pen. That's not a legal requirement. And it started, this practice, by black pen being more permanent, if you want to call it that, than any other color pen. Years ago, people found that different colors of ink fade more easily than black does. So because of the fact that it preserves, black pen was then simply used, but a contract will not be invalid signed in blue or red ink. You sign as a witness to a contract. This is interesting. People often take an agreement to sign as a witness and they want to know what this is, and they feel that they need to know and have insight into the transaction, and that's not the truth. You're signing to confirm the signature of the person to that piece of paper. So you say that Lisa was here on this day, and this is her signature affixed to this document. You don't need to have insight into the content of that document. Now, why witnesses are to be 16 years or older? That's also not a legal requirement. It's by practice that it's been implemented. And the reason for that is that when a matter becomes contentious, or you have to call witnesses to court to give evidence in a matter, then you want to know that your witness who will appear will at least have legal capacity. And that's the reason that you would choose to have someone sign who is capable of doing exactly that. Now, some contracts, contract do's and don'ts, we've briefly touched on it. You never draft your own contract, please. Not even if you're an attorney. You know, there's a true saying that an attorney who represents him or herself has a fool for a client. Now, that rings absolutely true. So whilst even if I would draft something that would be valid or important for me, I would definitely have a colleague oversee it. And then people say to me, but I've always used this contract and I have always, it's always been sufficient. Now, let me tell you that you will get away with that contract until you don't. So you need to make sure that your contracts are drafted specifically for your purpose. And that's why we say not internet contracts. We used to call them the old CNA contracts that you could buy over the counter at a stationery store. Those contracts are not designed for your purposes. And whilst they may address a broad spectrum of general legal principles, they're not going to necessarily cover your circumstances. The next point, never sign a contract under pressure. Take your time to read, understand, obtain legal advice, feel comfortable with what you're doing. From the simplest, the gym contract, or the simplest contract to the most complex agreement. Anyone holding you to ransom on undue time limits more than likely has a card up their sleeve. That's just my experience. And people, if they threaten you that you will lose this deal if you don't sign on the dotted line by 10 today or 12 today, ladies, walk away from the deal, walk away from the transaction. And the irony is that where we as attorneys often respond by indicating that we won't be held ransom to unreasonable time limits, those deals aren't lost. People are simply chancing it, hoping that possibly you'll skip the important parts and just sign without giving due consideration. So don't fall into that trap. Obtain legal advice before signing a contract. Does that sound weird to you? Well, you may be surprised to learn that I have a very affluent businessman as a client who contacted me one day and said to me, Michelle, please, you need to read through this contract for me. And I sat waiting for it. It was emailed, printed it, left everything. And when I looked at this contract, I was devastated. It had been signed. So what do you want me to do at that point? Just simply tell you how badly you've contracted. So do it before, take the advice before you sign. Don't fall into the industry norm. I want to warn you, you will deal with service providers, suppliers, any type of business who has a standard pre-printed contract, and they will say to you, all our clients sign it. You've got to sign it, that's how it works. Now there again, that's not true. If you are a party to that contract, you have rights. Exercise your rights. You have the option to change that contract and to delete clauses that you are not satisfied with. You always have a choice. So you have rights. You've got to exercise them. You've got to affirm your rights and do that. And please, ladies, if you don't have the appetite to do it, I have friends who say, oh, Michelle, I just can't deal with it. I just couldn't put myself in a situation of conflict like that. Then my advice is appoint someone who will do it for you, who will be objective, who will firmly insist on your rights being adhered to, because you are worth it. You're worth it. So, ladies, I am not trying to sell my services as a contract drafter. Let's get that straight. I'm a litigant, and trust me when I tell you that I will make 10 times more money from a contract gone wrong and from it becoming a contentious matter than I will from actually drafting that contract. Now, I want you to take heed to what I've just said, is that for you, it's a stitching time saves nine. You could, by spending a couple of thousand on a firmly and solidly drafted contract, you could save hundreds of thousands of rand and even millions in some instances. So give that some thought, and I say be businesslike. Your money is worth a lot to you. I'm not saying be frivolous and just spend it. But what I'm saying is weigh the risk, which is the value of the transaction that you're entering into. Weigh that risk versus the legal costs of having a proper contract drafted. Now, if those costs are merely, for instance, 1% of the value that you are protecting, then it would be foolish for you not to take up on the offer of legal services or to get someone to assist you in drafting that agreement. It's just simple business. Now, a contract, let's talk about something very different, is the contract with your better half. I like to refer to it as legally navigating your way through love and war. Now, and let's hope it's love more often than war. And I'm also not indicating that it will end up in a bad way. So I want to focus on contracts that are relevant to most women. And I consider an antenuptial contract to be one of the most important contracts that you will ever enter into. Now, you can also do a universal partnership agreement where you are in a cohabitation relationship. We'll talk about that a bit later. But if you're listening thinking this doesn't apply to me because I'm already married and or divorced and or my husband's passed away, I'll never remarry, I'll never live with someone again, so this doesn't apply to me. You have daughters or children, grandchildren, you have friends who need to hear this, so please stay focused. This will apply in some way to your life. This contract is often experienced by women as a weighted topic. They respond with overwhelming emotions. They range from feelings of being overwhelmed and being intimidated, which causes a measure of fear, to anger, frustration, and even sadness to an extent. Now, I must tell you that you may be shocked to hear that I often find consultations for an antenuptial contract more stressful and more traumatic than at a divorce. Now, someone who I said this to the other day responded in disbelief, and they said to me, you know, divorces are traumatic. How can you compare the two? And, you know, I just answered by saying, well, you evidently haven't been a party to such a consultation, or you'd understand what I am saying. You need to get your mindset right. And let's do some myth busting in order to get ourselves to a place where maybe we can accurately and view these contracts the way we should. I read on social media about a week ago, a gentleman posted and said that he would like some advice from people on what he should add in this to this contract. And a lady responded, and her comment was that a marriage should never start by way of a contract. It should start with love and respect between two parties. Now, where did this myth originate from? You know, that when you're entering into a contract with your partner or with a spouse-to-be, that you are somehow committing an act which sets out to replace love and respect in a relationship. Ladies, you need to wake up and realize that your relationships have legal consequences, whether you choose to recognize these consequences or not. It's not the contract that creates legal consequences. The contract simply helps you to dictate and to manage the consequences by way of a contract. So you are free to make your choices, but you're not free from the consequences of your choices. And this also applies to legal consequences. So enjoy the champagne and the roses and the romance, even more, knowing that the patrimonial consequences of your relationship have been specified, they've been taken care of, and you understand what they are. So another myth is that your contract is signed and left to gather dust until you get divorced. Now, this is so wrong. This agreement will dictate your legal capacity throughout your marriage and will be relevant to every legal contract that you sign. You need to make sure that people understand your marriage regime. So you need to know what it is, and you need to know what the implication is if you have an ANC that you don't have to have your husband sign or countersign when you purchase a vehicle or when you open an account. Because the clerk behind the desk isn't going to know that. And they are going to insist, because the pre-printed form says Mr. So-and-so will also sign, that he needs to countersign. If you follow that clerk's advice, you are going to add your spouse as a co-debtor to that transaction. Believe me, you want to be able to act independently and you want to rely on your rights to do so. So know them and know that you need to be assertive when you are contracting. The next myth I want to speak about is a common law wife situation or scenario. People are under the impression, ladies, are that if you've lived with someone for X amount of years, that you are a common law wife to that person.
Michelle, can I just,
yes,
Michelle, sorry
yes,
to
sure.
interrupt. Can I just intersect? We
Yes.
are very much over our time.
Yes.
And it's such interesting content and everything, but some of the ladies have to log off to go to meetings and so on. So
Sure.
maybe if we can, I've been asked that we just wrap this up because they all need to be where they are. So yes, if we can just in conclusion, maybe. Thanks very much.
Yes, of course, Lisa. What I'm going to do is I'm going to not go through all the aspects of the contracts with you. I want to point out that you have a universal partnership agreement, which can be utilized between same-sex partners and or anyone cohabiting in a relationship who chooses not to get married. Then I want to point out what I've said now is that people don't know how they're married. They don't know what the implication of their contract is, and I encourage you and to move away from the myth that this contract is a relationship of mistrust. You've got to the points of the antenuptial contract we're going to skip. And I'm going to conclude simply by saying to you that, ladies, you have rights. You need to know that you have rights. You need to empower the ladies around you, inform people that they need to affirm their rights and insist that their rights be heard. I'm passionate about this topic. Lisa said that earlier on, so is she. And because of it being Women's Month, I want to offer a free consultation to the ladies on the webinar. You can contact me on the details that are on the screen, or simply Google Kruger attorneys. You will get to our office details. We're situated in Umhlanga, and I'd like to explain to you in this free consultation what your marriage regime is and what the implication of your contract is, or what your rights are in a cohabitation relationship. So on that note, thanks for bearing with us. Again, my huge apologies for delay caused by my internet disability and handicap, but thank you very much for allowing me to be part of the presentation. I'll hand back to Lisa then.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Ladies, thank you so much for allowing us to work with you this afternoon, and thank you for your time and dialing in. Sanet, thank you so much for organizing this. We really enjoyed it, and you know where to find us. My email address will also be in the comments box. Michelle's email address and her law firm's website is in the comments box, in the chat box. Is there any questions, Michelle? Sanet, can we take 2 minutes maybe to address any questions?
I see Janine asked to say, who do we get legal advice from, since it can be expensive? So like now we've got Michelle's details, but otherwise we can, if you can't afford a lawyer, who do you get legal advice from?
Now, I've been asked this question, almost the first question on every webinar, and it's the reality is people don't have money in their back pocket that they have saved for this rainy day. There are no easy alternatives, and I can't give you an answer that's going to necessarily just solve your problem. We have the Legal Aid Board in all areas in South Africa. That's a free legal service by government. They, however, limit their services to really serious litigation, but you can contact them. The alternative, which to me is a workable solution because we do it for clients on an ongoing basis, you contact an attorney, build a relationship, but at the onset, advise them what your financial restraints are and arrange with them to pay them a monthly fee towards your bill, and most people are going to accept that. If they don't find someone who will, there are enough attorneys who are willing to engage on that basis.
Great. Any other questions? Carol, do we have, or Sanet, if you see anything there?
There was just one other question from Chantal, but she did ask before, you were talking about marriage contracts, Michelle, and she was asking, could you quickly explain the difference between an ANC with accrual and an ANC without?
Okay, now very few attorneys explain this to their clients correctly. So I'm going to do it briefly, but again, I invite you to contact me if you want an elaboration of it. Accrual system, people like to think of as in community of property. It's not. It's not. Get that idea out your mind. What you have is that the parties build their estate during their marriage, and if they're married with an accrual system, at divorce or death, we do a calculation of your value, and the party whose estate has grown the most will stand off 50% of that growth to the other party in a divorce. If you have grown in equal portions, there will be no distribution. So the accrual is there as an adjustment system where parties are unable to grow their estate, and then then it benefits them to have the advantage of accrual at a dissolution of the marriage.
Right, I think that answers the question briefly, but I also think, ladies, you are so welcome to contact Michelle. We are here to empower you, and she's given you this wonderful opportunity to please just email her and book your free consultation with her. Sanet, thank you very much. I'm handing back to you. Thank you for allowing us to work with these great ladies. And guys, let's support one another. Let's become the women tribe that seriously build sustainability amongst women. Let's celebrate our successes, and let's not pull each other down, and let's be examples to our daughters, right? That is how we build the next generation. So thanks very much. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Michelle. Sorry for cutting you, but yeah, we really enjoyed it. And as you were talking, Michelle, like the little breakup I had with my ex, and then fighting over stuff, and I thought, where was that agreement? Because yeah, so never ever do I share a space without a contract.
Never ever share anything without a contract. Great.
Well, if I've sent that message across to one person, Sanette, then I've achieved what I've set out to do today. But I am so willing to assist people. It's such an important issue, this. So I hope that ladies will contact me, yes.
Because like you said, it doesn't have to be in writing, because, sometimes it's very difficult to get them out of your house,
True. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. And